The Bishop McGuinness Irish are back in the state championship game for the first time since 2020, and they'll see a familiar face on the other sideline. They'll face the Carl Albert Titans on Saturday afternoon at noon. Noon kickoff as opposed to 1 o'clock over the last several years. They changed it this year, so just in case you're new, noon on Saturday for Carl Albert and Bishop McGuinness. And Ryan Stringer, the head coach of the Irish, joining us now. And coach, I want to start with last week, the game that you needed to get to the state championship game. You faced a Lawton Mac team that you had just played earlier in November, just a few weeks earlier in the last week of the regular season. What was different about your ball club last week that led you to get out to that huge lead in the second half and beat the Highlanders after losing to them just a few weeks earlier?
Yeah, no. First off, thanks for having me. But I think lost to him week 10. Had a chance to win a district championship and fell short. It was one of those. It was frustrating at the time, but when you're looking back at it, and that was kind of the mindset going into Guthrie was, it's gonna be the best thing that's happened to us. We were able we kind of got exposed some of our weaknesses. And luckily it's week 10 and not week 11 or 12 or 13. And so we had, an opportunity to work on it there. And so, they gave us a lot of fits on the defense line. They were quick. They slanted, did some things that nobody else had done all year really to us and gave us a lot of issues. And so we kind of changed how we practice after that. And we had this week, we, put our four best scout D linemen that we could find, fast, that kind of looked like them, and they gave us a great look, and went through all their pressures and slants and all that they gave us issues in that first matchup. And I think it worked out. I mean, our offensive linemen played really, really well, and I think that was the biggest thing. And then defensively, first half they put up 300 yards of offense. They were rolling, but we kind of established the defensive line that second half and shut down the run, and I think held them to about 60 yards in the second half total. So those were the two offense defense lines, establishing it was big, especially our offense.
Ironically, you're 9-0 going into that Week 10 game. You lose, and all of a sudden you're the 3 seed as opposed to like just being the runner-up in the district. And coincidentally, that means you have to go back on the road, and that's been the
Mhm.
story of Bishop McGuinness this season. Looking at your schedule, man, I think you guys went 6 weeks without playing in front of the home fans in
Yeah,
the regular
yeah.
season. 9 of the 13 games this year were either away games or
Mhm.
neutral site games. Talk about how that has built, camaraderie around the team because that's a lot of time on the school,
Yeah.
on the buses, a lot of time away from home. How has that helped your team and helped these guys grow up quickly to get to this point of the year?
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely, it's been an interesting year. For some reason, we don't play very well at home, and that was one of the questions that I got asked after we lost a lot in Mac. Was, anything good coming from it? And I was like, well, we don't have to play at home, and so because for some we play a lot better. But yeah, we spent a lot of time. We've traveled to Texas, we traveled to Kansas this year, and so we've spent a lot of time together. We enjoy being around each other. The guys have a good time. And I think they like that, not having the distractions of the home environment. And, and so, yeah, you want to host the playoff games, but, we were in a really comfortable spot when we knew we were going to have to, travel and go on the road, especially go to Guthrie. It's a fun place to play. And so the guys were excited. They play really well. When we were told we were the away team down at Noble, they were excited, and they're excited that they're away team on Saturday as well. They kind of like that and have taken on that mentality of enjoying being the away team, playing on the road, and doing all those.
Yeah, it's not surprising. They're used to it at this point. It'll
Yeah,
be
yeah,
10 out of 14 games away from Irish Stadium there.
yeah.
So
Our white jerseys are a little beat up. They're so we're kind of limping into this the the long stretch here. So
yeah, just hanging by a thread. That's the
yeah, they
got to get
are.
through. Just got to get through
One more,
48
and
more
there gets a
minutes.
new one.
That's all. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all we got. Uh, let's talk about your running back because
Mhm.
he's had a really solid season all year. He had a really good game against Lawton Mac, over 100 yards, 3 touchdowns on the ground. when you look at Bishop McGuinness football, and when I think of Bishop McGuinness football, I think of a team that's going to run the football. Usually have some really good backs. Obviously, Dominic Richardson has had a really good college career, former Irish standout. Just talk about your running back, the season he has had, and especially he has to be feeling confident right now
Mhm.
going into this week, considering how he played against Lawton Mack.
Yeah, no, Dre's been great. I mean, I think he's been over 100 yards almost every game besides that week 10 Lawton Mac for the last, I think we started around week 7. He kind of got rolling and was going. And so, he played lights out. He's hitting the hole, like hitting it. I mean, he's not second guessing. That first match against Lawton Mac, you watch him, he kind of second guessing things, think he was pressing too much. And so, he's explosive. And so anytime, just like guys in the past, when they get the ball in the hand, they have opportunity to score, and that makes a big difference, especially when you're calling plays. It makes it a little bit easier when you're not having to grind out drives all the time, and one kid can break in and can get loose for sure.
Looking at that backfield, obviously quarterback a huge deal every single season. Gage Chance goes down in week 10 with an injury, and Junior
Hmm.
Harris came in, and I mean it's obviously he's done something right. He's led the team back to the state title game. Just talk about the spark that he's brought to this offense, being thrusted into the starting lineup
Hmm.
late in the process, and he's been able to answer the call.
Yeah, no, Junior's. I mean, he's a tremendous athlete. He's a competitor, and he enjoys being in that spotlight. Been starting at corner for us all year. Kick return. He's returned. Returned a kick again the other night. I think that was his third one of the year, I believe. Started the season off at Deer Creek, returning the opening kickoff of the season. So we weren't surprised that when he got in that situation that would he perform at a high level, and so. Um, he's done well. Excited to see him continue to play. Engage is obviously 9-1 as a starter and did a tremendous job for us, and has been a great leader for us and helping Junior prep and get ready for all these games as well. He's been right there at practice, and so it's been really cool to see. And I think it kind of talks about the culture and the guys on the team that they're not just worried about themselves; that they want to see the success of everybody for sure.
That's always something that I enjoy hearing and
Hmm.
talking to kids themselves, because obviously, look, a player they want to play.
Yeah.
They want to be out on the field, but a lot of them, what they don't realize is they can learn more about the
Hmm.
game, like taking a step back and
Yeah.
looking at it from a different angle and not being on the field, and it can actually help them in their progression. And so, I love those stories of like, hey,
Hmm.
he got banged up and he had to, switch his mentality. And look, teams are always better for that in the long run.
Yeah.
Um,
100%.
Flipping to the defensive side of the ball, Aiden Monagold has been a player that I've really liked over the last several
Hmm.
years. Just he can do a lot of things really
Yeah.
well. He's a terrific looking athlete. When I look at this matchup on Saturday, obviously Carl Albert has a very good running back. He's
Hmm.
had a very special season, and when I look at some of the biggest keys to Saturday's game, Aiden Monagold, the Bishop McGuinness front seven, that's going to have a huge role in what we see on Saturday because of
Hmm.
what you're going up against.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. No, I mean, the run back is tremendous. I mean, really the best back that we faced. We faced some good backs this year, but he's going to bring a little bit of different element, and just scheme wise and what they do. Nothing but respect for those guys over there. And so, Aiden's going to have to be the guy that we need him to be, and he knows that. And he's ready for that challenge. And so, and then the other guys we got to tackle well. We played really well in the second half, and in the first half we understand, like, we missed some tackles, stuff like that. We can't afford to do that Saturday, or he's going to be getting loose like he has all year against everybody. And so it's a tremendous challenge for our defense, but we got to not only Aiden, but we got a bunch of guys, young guys that are excited for the opportunity. Marcellus Steiner, number 6, he's been probably I think he's our leading tackler, sophomore, and he's one of the captains. We promoted him to be a captain, and so kind of says kind of what you need to know about as a sophomore to be promoted as a captain by his coaches. We expect him to hopefully have a massive game come Saturday as well.
All right, this is the part of the conversation where we just open things up, and let's just start talking about players. You have
Uh,
the floor. I'm not going to stop you. We this is on YouTube. We don't have a limited amount of time.
yeah.
Talk about the different guys that have stood out that we haven't already talked about. A couple guys that I can think of, like Jacob Costello on the
Mhm.
offensive line. Your entire offensive line. Look,
Yeah.
the running game doesn't happen unless it starts on the line of scrimmage. The floor is yours to just talk about some of the other guys that have really stood out for Bishop McGuinness this season and
Mhm.
have played big roles in getting you guys to this point.
Yeah, no, I think our offensive line, has played really well, especially down the stretch after that week 10. Jake Cassell, as you said, Baylor Moats as well. Baylor's a 3-year starter for us, and so he's committed to John Hopkins. So he's super intelligent, but a great football player as well.
Going to be a
Um,
doctor, I'm assuming.
yeah, I think he's gonna be a doctor. So, and then Gavin Brazil, Reed Bramlett, the other two seniors on the offense line. We have four seniors on the offense line, and then the lone sophomore Sam Randolph at right tackle has progressed tremendously and has a bright future. And then offensively, kind of the unsung hero of the team is Andrew Harris, the tight end. He's broke, kind of a bone in his thumb around week 5. He's been playing in a kind of cast the rest of the season, so it's limited him. He's got a couple of touchdowns, but it's limited his opportunities to catch the ball. But he could care less. He just wants to win, and he blocks his tail off. And he's going to Pitt State next year, and so the physicality that he brings and just the leadership. I told him the other day that I've been around for a decade here, and I think he's the best leader that this program's ever had because it's all about the team. He could, if doesn't catch a ball, he doesn't care. He's going to show up and do what he's supposed to do for the team. And so it's a joy to coach guys like that for sure. And somebody that we're going to be relying on Saturday. And then Braden Split is a guy at receiver and defense and starts at corner for us. It's been kind of our lead guy this year. And so we expect him to hopefully, have a big impact. They got really good receivers, good defensive backs. So we know we're going to have to stretch. They're going to try to stop the run, and we're going to stretch the field a little bit vertically. And so looking at him, Nick Pittman's been an explosive guy, starts at safety and receiver for us as well. And then defensively, Malachi Darby, linebacker, a sophomore, and Jackson Blackburn, the two linebackers have been great for us this year. And so, excited to see them. We're young. Besides really the offense and defensive line, we're really young. We'll return everybody but one guy in the back end next year. We'll have to replace the D line and the offense line, but other than that, our skill positions, we're young, and so we kind of feel like we maybe arrived. Not to us, but some people I think didn't think we'd be in this position just because we did graduate 22 seniors last year, and we only have 16 seniors this year. But we have a really good sophomore group and junior group, and the sophomores are they're. You'll see on Saturday if you've seen them. They're a bunch of ball players. They love football. They love flying around, and they're kind of the vocal leaders of our team, which is you don't get that a lot from sophomores, but these guys are guys that all want to go play at the next level, and they bring it. And it starts with Malachi Darby and Marcellus Tyner for sure, and then Junior and all those guys. So it's a tremendous group for sure that we're excited about. And so there's a lot of guys that. It's been one of those things. It's been a team effort for the year. I always feel bad because you'll reach out and say, "Hey, there's any big stat lines," or other guys are in big stat lines, and there's usually not. It's just been a well-rounded team effort this year, where guys just show up, do their job, and enjoy being around each other and enjoy the process. And it's not always the case because it's a long season. You're basically full go from May to December. And so you spend a lot of time together. And so, but these guys, they just enjoy showing up and getting after it. It's always fun to hear them, when they're lifting yesterday and we're in the office working, getting the game plan together. You can just hear the excitement and it's just November 30th or whatever it is, and they're still enjoying being around. They're locked in, they're in their lift, but they're talking, they're enjoying that time. So it's a special thing to see for sure. And we're excited for these guys, and we're just excited for the opportunity to compete against, one of the best programs in the state of Oklahoma. This is I talked to Coach Dunn on Saturday, and told him it's kind of how 5A football should be, McGuinness and Carl Albert. So it's exciting to kind of be back in that for sure.
It's a renewal of a rivalry that
Yeah.
we haven't seen in a couple years, and obviously it'll be a fun atmosphere on Saturday in Edmond. Let's talk about this matchup a little
Hmm.
bit. Look, man, I mean, you're playing for a state championship. You don't need any extra juice, so to
No.
speak, or any extra motivation. But you're facing a Carl Albert team that hasn't lost since September of 2022.
Hmm.
They've won 52 consecutive games. They're going after number 20, which would
Hmm.
set a state record as far as state championships are concerned. There's obviously some added juice to a matchup that needs no added juice
Yeah.
for your guys' sake. When you look at this matchup, what stands out to you? What are going to be some of the biggest keys to getting a win on Saturday?
Yeah, I think one the first six, it's limiting the big play. Between number one, number two, the quarterback's had a really. I don't think he's thrown an interception all year, and so he's been tremendous. He runs the ball really really well, and so it's not only the running back. The quarterback can give you fits, and that's Carl Albert, right, to a T. I mean, they're always going to have athletes, but it's a quarterback run game. Um, that's what really makes them really, really good is when their quarterback, and usually almost every year in year out, their quarterback can run. It's in the 10 years we've played, I've hardly remember a guy that couldn't hurt you with his legs. And so that makes it obviously, just like with us, makes it every defense, it's a little bit more difficult to defend when the quarterback can run. And so limiting the big play, obviously, and then, receiver number two is a tremendous athlete as well. In the special teams game is keeping the ball away from them, not allowing those guys to make big plays in the special teams. And so made that pretty adamant to my special teams coordinator that, make sure those guys, because they returned punt last week against Newcastle and have had a couple, just like us, have big plays on special teams that have flipped games. And then defensively or offensively, controlling the line of scrimmage like we did last week, and keeping their offense off the field, limiting their drives, are big things for us, and extending drives, and trying to put the pressure on them as much as we can by limiting the amount of possessions that they would have.
Coach, thanks so much for your time, man. Like I said, it feels right. Your words,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be 5A football if McGuinness and Carl Albert didn't square off. So
Hmm.
we get to see it on Saturday at noon. It should be a good one in Edmond. Thanks so much for your time. Congrats on making it back, and looking forward to seeing how this one plays out on Saturday.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Michael.
That's Bishop McGuinness head coach Ryan Stringer. I'm Michael Knight. This has been another edition of the Coaches Conversations here on our Prep Red Zone Oklahoma YouTube channel. To hear from Carl Albert head coach Mike Dunn, you can check out that video right now on the YouTube channel. We'll also have Coaches Conversations from the 6A1 title game, from the 6A2 title game, and all of our state title coverage will also be up on the YouTube channel as well as on our website, Prep Red Zone Oklahoma, starting on Thursday. Again, games at noon and 7 o'clock Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. For Coach Stringer, I'm Michael Knight. One final time, this has been another edition of the Coaches Conversations here on our Prep Red Zone Oklahoma YouTube channel.